Today is Tuesday, January 18. My name is Pastor Anthony, and this is Wilderness Wanderings. Today our text comes from Luke chapter 4. He, that is Jesus, went to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and on the Sabbath day he went into the synagogue, as was his custom. He stood up to read, and the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was handed to him. Unrolling it, he found the place where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners, and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." Then he rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. The eyes of everyone in the synagogue were fastened on him. He began by saying to them, "Today this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing." That's Luke chapter 4, verses 16 to 21. In Luke's telling, this is the core of the gospel that Jesus proclaimed. The passages Jesus reads from Isaiah are passages that speak of both the Messiah and the year of Jubilee coming. Jesus declares that both are fulfilled today by his appearance. That is, that he is the Messiah who saves and sets free the people. Now, upon walking into a room, some of us may have been so bold as to declare, "You can start the party now, I'm here." But to declare that our presence means salvation has arrived, that's pretty insane, actually. To say it seriously, you either need to be God himself, a comedian, or out of your mind. Indeed, the good folks of Nazareth pretty promptly tried to kill Jesus, as we'll see a bit later on. Now let's say that we believe Jesus is God, and not in need of therapy. I mean, if you're listening to this, that's probably where you're at. Even so, salvation is a big word. A word we toss around pretty freely in churchy circles, but a word that remains pretty abstract. And we like it that way. Abstractions don't demand action of us. So we tend to keep this word abstract by setting it next to similarly abstract words like sin, heaven, soul, etc. Stir those all up together and you get a tidy formula of abstraction like, Jesus has saved me from my sin so that I can go to heaven. But what does that mean? The declaration of salvation should punch you in the gut and offend you, such that you're tempted either to fall on your knees or push Jesus off a cliff. And this cute little Christianese phrase just doesn't quite do that, because it's abstract. But Jesus doesn't use abstract words like salvation here. He talks instead about concrete things for particular people. Good news for the poor. Freedom for prisoners and the oppressed. Recovery of sight for the blind. Now, did you hear your own name in those phrases? If not, maybe you should. For someone to come up and say, "Nope, you can't do life yourself. You're a failure, unsuccessful, unable, not useful enough, guilty of mismanagement, incompetent, you don't have enough, aren't strong enough, aren't smart enough." Well, that's pretty offensive, isn't it? Offensive enough to push Jesus off a cliff over. But that's really what it means to be in need of saving. And then Jesus follows it up with the equally offensive statement that what you can't do, he can. Who on earth would respond to that kind of altar call? Folks in Nazareth certainly didn't. But perhaps those who found their own situation named by Jesus, well, perhaps they did. The poor, the imprisoned, the blind, the oppressed, the indebted. Somehow when salvation becomes concrete and personal, addressed to us and to our real situation, it not only offends, but it can also redeem, because there's enough of relationship for us to entrust ourselves. So the question is, what do you need saving from? In what area of your life are you burdened, shackled, oppressed, blind? Where is Jesus at work in your heart and life, inviting you to hear his good news of freedom, recovery, and good favor? It is a humbling thing to admit one's need, but it is the first step toward hearing Jesus' good news addressed to you. So as you journey on and search your heart and perhaps respond to God as well, go with his blessing. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May he bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors.